Hey guys, I'm going to be playing as Baktria. I'm just trying all sorts of different factions just to see how good they are. Something that's another glitch that I kind of noticed here. My opponent is deployed right in front of me, but I can't see his forces, so I'm not sure what's up with that, but I think it's probably just because there's a slight incline on the otherwise seemingly flat terrain, so he should be showing up relatively soon. Anyways, I'm feeling the Bactrians. I really like them. They're have a good mix of forces: heavy cav, heavy elephants, pikemen, a decent amount of skirmishers, and yeah, here you can see my opponent is kind of freaking out because he can't see my troops, I can't see his, and also in the deployment phase, we again had that glitch where he could see my forces and I couldn't see his. But the units I'm fielding right here are going to be 4 of these thorax pikemen, 4 of these peltas. The reason I bring peltas is because in that last video you just saw how super effective they were. They're pretty cheap with the new price differentiation, so I definitely think they're worth bringing. And then I have 2 archers, just because I figured my opponent would be bringing elephants. I needed some way to send them amok. And then my own elephants are going to be taking up their positions on the flank. They're a very powerful way to anchor your flanks, mostly because no cav is going to be foolhardy enough to charge right into them. And the only way really that they'll be taken out is if the enemy focuses fire on them with archers, or has his own elephants in the mix, or maybe even brings up pikes. But if the enemy brings up elephants or pikes, they're slow moving, you'll see that coming. So putting elephants directly on your flank is going to be a good way to secure those. Yeah, you don't always have to use them super aggressively. You can keep them close to your flanks just to ward off your opponent. Anyways, what I'm going to be doing right here is positioning my pikes with some spacing between them. I can see my opponent's build. He obviously doesn't have a lot of pikes, which means he's not going to be presenting a pike wall to me. I don't have to present a pike wall to him. Instead, I'm going to spread my pikes out just to offer enough coverage to my skirmishers, who are going to fill up the gaps inside them. You can see my pikes are forming sort of a bowl, concave type of area, and in the middle of that gap, I'm going to put my skirmishers, so that's going to be a good way to keep them protected and a good way to intersperse my forces. Take a look at the deployment of my enemy. He's amassing his heavy cav on that one flank on his right, as well as elephants. So I'm going to take note of that and just make sure I have something to counter. I'm going to push on my elephants on the right because I see that my opponent is a little weak there. I'm going to pull back some of my skirmishers. No need to have them lose units to his archers, and if he wants to shoot at me, you know, I'll have my own pikes soak up the fire. They're pretty heavily armed. I'm going to go ahead and move them up, and you can see I'm also charging in some cavalry, and as soon as my cavalry are going to be pushing his guys back, I already have my own skirmishers moving forward, so I'm keeping the pressure on him, making sure that he never gets any shots off. My elephants are getting a little carried away on the left, so I'm going to have to pull them back soon. My opponent could have jumped on that opportunity, but he didn't, or at least not quite yet. You'll see that the engagement will soon be preempted. Anyways, my opponent is trying to ward off my elephants here with some hillmen. I realize that those guys are super cheap, so I'm not going to run away for them. I'm just going to draw him away and then recharge. Over here, my opponent decided to charge at me kind of foolishly, with all his units charging through each other. Not the most effective charge, and it means that his troops are all so committed that that basically I can swoop around him and finish him off. Right here I'm getting my skirmishers to target his pike units. I know those are going to be the most important to take out. I don't really care if he shoots back at my pikes or at my skirmishers. Even if they die, as long as they're getting off volleys against his pikes, that's going to be good for me. You can see me throwing in a bunch of my spears. I'm actually ending up killing a good group of my men as well as my opponents. Probably not the best of moves, but I figured you know, I might as well put on the pressure, and I'd be happy if some of those land on my opponent. So what I should probably do is retrain the focus of my troops, which is what you're going to see me doing here. I'm going to decide to aim elsewhere, and then I'm just going to start the surround here. I'm going to tell these pikes to form up, and I'm going to try and target his guys on the right here, the shield bearers, because their flanks are exposed. Right through here you can see the combined fire on his own pikes is going to do a great deal of damage. He's going to start reinforcing that, but you can see I've placed one of my pikes, not engaging them but just holding them there to hold his forces off in case they charge at me. And over on the right you can see all his archers are targeting my own guys here. Very good use of the fire arrows. You'll even see he's going to start targeting my elephants, which is going to cause huge problems for me on that flank. Right here, he's trying to outmaneuver my guys, my pikes, but the more and more he gets into that position, it just means that my skirmishers can destroy him from the sides now. And so what I would do as my opponent was try and get around my flanks and just commit his troops there. Also look here, my elephants are going to be turning against me. That's very, very bad. My opponent is going to draw back, knowing that these elephants are just going to maraud it through my men. That's going to do a lot of damage to me. I'm kind of panicking at this moment, so I'm going to try and bait his elephants to engage with my opponent's troops. Right here, these pikes are pretty much inattentive, so I'm going to go ahead and charge them. At the last moment, you will see, however, that my opponent does turn them around, so make sure if you're going to charge pikes, don't always assume that your opponent is not microing them, because in that case, you turn them around just at the last moment. And that's something you can even do, is pretend you're not paying attention at the last moment, pull off some of those moves. So definitely be aware of that. Over on the right, I can see that with my elephants out of action and them rampaging, and my opponent now having the skirmisher advantage, I'm losing, and so I'm going to go ahead and tell my cavalry to reinforce there. This mosh pit here, I'm pretty happy with how it's going. My cav, elephants, and pikes should be enough to hold it up until I am able to finish off combat in the rest of the battle. Elephants in the middle have decimated pretty much my skirmisher core, but some of them are still alive and they're going to be wrapping up his forces there. Over here I'm playing around with some of his pike units, pulling them here and there, which is going to allow me to charge it with my units. You can see the first thing that I do is tell my skirmishers to attack his forces from the back, and then my elephants are slowly going to march the way around here, and then, yep, right now you can see that they've broken out of running amok mode is what I should say. So I'm going to be bringing them back into the fight. They're going to be very crucial. My cav is still there, just circling around, making sure he doesn't, be able to face my infantry from the front. So what I'm going to be able to do now is charge his guys, and the elephants who were just regrouped are going to go ahead and charge him from the back. Over here, we're holding our own. My opponent does have some pikes who aren't doing anything, so if I were him, I would have engaged those. They would have probably helped decimate the rest of my cavalry forces. My elephants are coming back. I'm destroying his troops here. My skirmisher fire combined with my pikes are going to finish off his guys here. And yeah, that's going to be it for this flank. So it took a little bit of patience on my part. I was set back, but by keeping those cavalry disengaged from the other fight, I was able to swoop them around. So that's something you should probably do. Don't think you need to charge all your cavalry into a blob. Be sure to save some in reserve for tactical moments. Anyways, I'm going to start reforming. I realize that I may lose the fight over there, so I'm going to reform and just get ready for the battle. But things are going to turn in my favor, and I'm going to end up winning this battle. So, well done to my opponent. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm definitely enjoying the patch 9 improvement to gameplay. Units feel a lot more balanced. The battles themselves are more varied, more interesting. And yeah, the pace of combat is definitely agreeable. I still think the elephants are a little too powerful, and from the battles I've played, chariots are still causing me issues. I don't really see a great way to counter them, which is annoying because historically people would have been able to counter them pretty easily, but we don't really have many other options besides just a wall of pikes. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.